The purpose of this video is to compare and contrast the morality and sustainability of Chinese and Indian population control measures. We will do this through a presentation of demography, policy, and governmental responsibility. Demography is destiny because a people determine a nation's legacy and history. Obviously, the main way a society propagates itself is through its offspring. In order to maintain population equilibrium, women must have, on average, 2.1 children each. This is called the fertility rate. Due to cultural and societal norms, China now has a fertility rate of 1.6, which means its population will both rapidly age and decrease simultaneously, because it falls below the fertility rate of 2.1. India's fertility rate stands at 2.66, which conversely means they are still above replacement rate for society. Population policies for both countries were enacted largely with the belief that economic growth is a zero-sum game. In other words, the size of the economic pie stays the same, but the number of people eating from it continues to increase. This means less for all, theoretically, but totally ignores the economic growth and efficiency gains. In any case, as a group, we advocate that people, not pure production, are a society's greatest asset. Still, it is necessary to delve into the details to paint a picture of what these two countries are facing and how.
India is the second most populous country on Earth, with half of its population under the age of 25. There are more males than females because of gender selection. The National Population Policy of 2000 has brought down the fertility rate, but not drastically. The population is expected to peak in 2050 at about 1.3 billion people and will slowly decline afterwards. China, on the other hand, is the most populous country on Earth. Its population has been declining since the implementation of the one-child policy of 1979. This has also created significant age gaps in the age groups. There's a large elderly sector and a small working class. The fertility rate is currently below the replacement rate of 2. How the economy has been affected: India, because of increased modernization, there have been large age gaps between the social classes. There's a very inflated lower class. A high demand for jobs as the working class has been inflated in many urban areas. There's also been a loss of natural resources due to extreme industrialization, which has affected the agricultural industry and the amount of exports. Water, air, and soil pollution has also affected the agricultural industry, and energy production has increased, which is causing an increase in energy cost. In China, the environment has been diminishing because of industrialization for many years. Water pollution is an ongoing problem in the agricultural sector. The older age groups have been affected as they are demanding their health care and pensions, which are promised by the government, but these seem to be fading. The younger and middle class demand jobs, so the economy and the government are trying to keep up with the demand. There is a constant worry of how to provide for this very large population.
India and China have taken fairly different approaches to the population control policies. India instituted 5 five-year plans that moved gradually from basic family planning measures such as birth control and child spacing to the more aggressive approaches such as mass sterilization, while China has taken the more aggressive approach of the aforementioned one-child policy. India's family planning measures introduced the idea of child spacing, or having children over a longer period of time, rather than one right after the other. This slows down the population growth, preventing an incessant baby boom. When these measures failed to adequately decrease the growth rate, the government moved towards the implementation of mass sterilizations. While these measures have slowed down the growth rate, as Evan said before, the Indian fertility rate remains above the world average. China adopted the one-child policy in 1979. It was a series of laws and regulations that boiled down to the requirement that Chinese families only be able to conceive one child. These policies resulted in extremely adverse effects. Chinese tradition denotes that males be the preferred gender, so the results resulted in creation of a wide gender gap, as well as increased rate of infanticide. These measures have been more effective in decreasing the population rate, yet have been fairly harmful in society. It is fairly apparent that the Indian policies are more effective in terms of both population growth and its effects on society. Indian families are allowed to have their ideal families, but over a longer period of time. On the other hand, Chinese families are restricted in the growth of their families. While population control may be needed to curb economic instability, it can come at a fairly heavy price. These policies can affect a person's psyche in a terrible way, as they are designed to forcibly limit their liberty and dreams. It is our natural tendency as human beings to procreate and leave essences of ourselves in the world. Thus, to be restricted from achieving that goal can be emotionally crushing, because lost generations of children will never be able to make an impact on this world in either positive or negative ways.